This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, HMNZS Canterbury arrived in Dunedin on Wednesday and is embarking on Operation Endurance. Dunedin motorists are being handed out lollipops in thanks for their patience. And 2 firefighters come home from a week of fighting Australian bushfires. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. HMNZS Canterbury arrived in Dunedin on Wednesday and is embarking on Operation Endurance. The trip into the Southern Ocean is set to take them to the Auckland and Campbell Islands, with a contingent of Army, Navy and Air Force personnel.
The Canterbury, in Otago waters, is making ready to head even further south on a multifaceted mission to the Auckland and Campbell Islands.
So we're here in Dunedin, we're loading up with Department of Conservation, Met Service, DTA people and their equipment, which we'll be taking down to the Auckland and Campbell Islands and supporting them over the next few weeks.
Part of the Navy's southern sojourn is checking in on predator-free islands to see if they're in fact still rodent-free.
Most of the rats have been killed, so we're taking some dogs down and they're kind of hunting out to see if there are any pests left. I know there's been a big effort over the last few years to get rid of the pests. I'm not sure of the status of those pests, but I know that they are doing a lot of work to see what's left on the island.
The Canterbury comes off a period of maintenance in Australia and at the Navy Wharf in Devonport, where crew took part in helicopter training with the help of the RNZAF.
Done a little bit of work to prepare for coming back to sea, so just getting the crew back up to speed and being safe to conduct helicopter operations, because there'll be a lot of helicopter operations during Operation Endurance. It's quite exciting. Tomorrow we're embarking at Air Force NH90 helicopter, which will be one of the workhorses over the next few weeks, carrying stores and people ashore.
As crews prepare for even more flight training, one of those who'll be flying naval personnel to and from the islands is set to be Southern flyer Cameron Day, who says he's now in his dream job.
And I kind of always wanted to join the Air Force. Once we had Air Force helicopters come and land down at our school at Dunstan High School there, and was kind of hooked from there. Finished high school, went to university, and then wanted to join straight up to fly helicopters, and then got streamed through to fly Air Force helicopters. Got an exchange to come through to the Sea Sprites, and I've been flying these helicopters for the last 2 years now.
250 personnel are set to be on board for the 2.5-week journey, and the HMNZS Canterbury is due to leave Dunedin 6:30 p.m. this evening. In Dunedin, the South Today.
2 kaka at Dunedin's Orokonui Eco Sanctuary have died over the past week. It is speculated the kaka consume bait from stations used for eradicating possums. In a post on its Facebook page, Orokonui staff say autopsies of the birds suggest both died after ingesting an anticoagulant toxin. Both kaka showed similar symptoms before they died: unusual swaying behaviour, looking lethargic and ill. Orokonui staff have contacted Osprey, which is managing a large TB control program in the Dunedin area. This resulted in a rapid response from Osprey, and its contractors removed bait from stations across the entire operation area of the program as a cautionary step. Dunedin motorists driving along Portobello Road are being rewarded for their patience with sweet treats. Staff working the stop-go lights now have a stash of thousands of lollipops to hand out to motorists as they wait.
Do you fancy a lollipop? Yeah, three. Oh, there's one in the back.
Fulton Hogan's stop-go operators handing out lollipops to motorists held up by the traffic lights as work to widen the coastal road from Dunedin to Port Chalmers continues. Senior Project Manager Brett Patterson says the little sweet treats are a gesture of appreciation to motorists for their patience.
So we understand that as we do our work, we affect the traffic coming through and we cause a few delays and hold people up in their daily business. So just one of the wee things we do as a thank you to the community is handed a few lollipops to the people as they go past. So yeah, it's just a little thank you from us, just to say we understand that we interrupt your day and sorry about that, but have a lollipop.
You can either go green or red, choice is up to you.
10,000 lollipops have been ordered by Fulton Hogan to give drivers their sugar fix, and Patterson says the regular road users have been very understanding of the delays while their road gets widened.
So there's been a lot of positive feedback. We get a lot of smiles and thank yous, and occasionally we get some muffins dropped off to us and things like that as well, which is really cool. So no, the feedback from the community is very, very good, very positive.
The Dunedin City Council's Peninsula Connection Safety Improvement Project will see roadworks on this section continue until mid next year. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Southland couple are counting their lucky stars after winning big in last weekend's Lotto First Division. The couple, who wish to remain anonymous, travelled to Auckland this week to claim their $1 million prize in person at Lotto New Zealand's head office. Having purchased the ticket in Milton on his way home, it wasn't until late Saturday night he discovered how fortunate that decision was. The man thought he might have won $1,000, then had to wipe tears from his eyes as he told his wife they are now millionaires. Two Southern Rural Fire officers who returned yesterday from fighting Australian bushfires are describing the devastation as heartbreaking. The pair, who spent a week away working up to 14 hours a day, are happy to be back home for some well-earned rest.
Back from 8 days fighting Australian bushfires, Timo Bielan and Hamish Angus arrive at Queenstown Airport, happy to have helped out.
To go to Australia and assist our partners over there in such a catastrophic time was a good experience I don't want to miss.
The bushfires have destroyed more than 1 million hectares over the past 9 weeks, and Bielan says working 14-hour days in apocalyptic conditions has been an emotional experience.
The scale is hard to imagine how big the fires or how large those fires were. The impact on the local communities were quite heartbreaking for me, for myself. It was an experience I haven't had before.
Angus says they're looking forward to getting some normality back in their lives.
We're pretty excited and pretty happy to get home and see the family and breathe some fresh air.
Another 21 New Zealand firefighters flew to Queensland on Tuesday. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, a huge artwork is set to be unveiled later this month in Port Chalmers, and a memorial to those who conscientiously objected to war receives a funding boost, so see you after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Larnac Castle is proud to showcase their new retail space. Simply purchase an annual garden pass for year-round access to the garden, cafe and gift shop, or apply for a host card giving you full access to the castle, ballroom, cafe, gift shop and garden when accompanied by a full-paying guest. Check out the website for full terms and conditions.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome back. Over the years, there have been many collaborations between poets and painters. One of the most notable examples being Colin McCann and Charles Brash, and now two well-known southern artists showing that bigger can be better.
A massive artwork by Port Chalmers artist James Robinson will soon be available for all to see in his home studio.
Yeah, this is sort of a more intimate at-home show, but it's self-funding and self-touring. A collection of work that responds to David Eagleton, and that's, you know, a reasonably seamless response. Call and response in New Zealand. Call and response.
Robinson says this 8 metre by 3.5 metre piece is based on the poem Teleprompter by New Zealand Poet Laureate David Eagleton.
David Eagleton's work's always resonated with me because I also write and process myself in the world in a stream of consciousness Dada way, and so David's almost like a legitimate mirror to my amateur writing process.
We want data capture, information sickness, a face made of erectile tissue, a blizzard of little white lies.
Eagleton says the way Robinson has responded to the lengthy poem he penned in 1999 has completely blown him away, leaving the particularly loquacious writer almost lost for words. Almost.
Actually, I'm amazed almost. I'm really fascinated by what he's managed to do with my words, my text. And in terms of his own work, he's added my words to and turned them into generating points for his own inspirations and his own obsessions and concerns.
David Eagleton and James Robinson have been taking inspiration from each other's work for many years, but Eagleton says this work is impressive.
So I was aware that he was capable of doing this, but it's blown me away just what he's managed to come up with this particular work, which is on another level again.
Robinson's work Teleprompter is a collection of canvas strips which have been painted and drawn on, burnt with a blowtorch and then sewn back together to hang on the largest wall of his home studio on Grey Street in Port Chalmers. A full-length feature article is set to appear in the ODT's Arts pages this Thursday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After 7 long years, a memorial to those who conscientiously objected to war has been given the green light. The Archibald Baxter Memorial Trust has now received over $300,000 from a lottery fund towards a sculpture in North Dunedin.
University of Otago Professor of Peace and Conflict Studies Kevin Clements has every reason to be happy now that the Lottery Environment and Heritage Fund has granted over $300,000 towards a memorial sculpture and garden at the intersection of George and Albany Streets. He says it'll be New Zealand's first memorial erected for conscientious objectors such as Archibald Baxter, who was born at Dunedin's Saddle Hill in 1881.
There are plenty of war memorials up and down the country, and there's no memorial whatsoever to honour those who chose a different path. And it took a lot of courage in the First World War in particular, and even in the Second World War, to conscientiously object to national conscription.
It's been a long 7 years to get this far, with the suggestion of having the memorial erected at Dunedin's Queen's Gardens opposed by the local RSA. The Archibald Baxter Memorial Trust has now been allocated this little space on City Council land to put their sculpture.
The Baxter Trust was set up about 7 years ago and its aim is to develop this memorial garden, Peace Garden, to Archibald Baxter and all the conscientious objectors in New Zealand and throughout the world who've taken a very different approach to war than those who chose to take up arms. And it also funds an annual peace lecture and a peace education program in schools.
Baxter was in his mid-30s when he and 13 other conscientious objectors were shipped off to the World War I battlegrounds and subjected to various punishments, including Field Punishment No. 1, colloquially known as the crucifixion.
He was strung up on a pole in the middle of winter in France, within earshot of the front lines, and kept there for hours and hours on end. You were normally supposed to, under Field Punishment No. 1, you were normally only supposed to take up to 8 hours a day, and he was there for up to 15. And it could have killed him.
The total cost of the sculpture is to be around $500,000, and this has now been raised thanks to various donations and the recent lottery grant.
There'll be a sculpture at one end which will be a representation of what's called Field Punishment No. 1, and it will be made out of Central Otago granite, and it will show the sort of shape of a man tied to a pole, and that will represent Baxter and all those who conscientiously objected to war in the First World War.
It's hoped work will begin on the memorial early next year and be completed by next December. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, workers get ready to replace the roof of the Toitū Otago Settlers Museum, and we have the weekend's weather for you, so stay with us.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life. When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489-2274.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر.
Thanks for staying with us. Workers are getting ready to replace the roof of the Tuatara Otago Settlers Museum in Dunedin next week. The roofing project started in May and includes the replacement of roof cladding over some galleries and refixing cladding elsewhere on the roof. On Tuesday, a crane is set to lift scaffolding materials to build the temporary cover to protect the building while the cladding is replaced. This will lead to minor traffic restrictions for southbound traffic, as well as the closure of some of Toitui. The work has taken longer than initially expected due to the discovery of asbestos, which needed to be removed. The project is likely to be completed early next year. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. HMNZS Canterbury arrived in Dunedin on Wednesday and is embarking on Operation Endurance with a ship's complement of 250 crew. Dunedin motorists are being handed out lollipops in thanks for their patience with sweet treats and a wave. And 2 firefighters come home from a week of fighting Australian bushfires, saying it was heartbreaking. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden Meikle. What have you got for us in tomorrow's paper?
Good evening, Mel. Well, it's been one of those days. It's all been a bit of a blur, really. I'm sure we've got lots of great stuff in tomorrow's paper. I don't know a lot about some of it, but let's have a crack, shall we?
Fine, crack away.
Yes, salaries climbing at DCC companies. I'm not exactly sure what that's about. I'm sure it's about some salaries have been climbing upwards at DCC companies.
I'm sure we're about to see lots of letters to the paper about that too.
Well, people are always fascinated. You know, it's public money, isn't it? And we always like to know where our money's going and who's getting it, so I'm sure that will be interesting. Baldwin Street, here we go again, it never ends. Baldwin Street, steepest street in the world, second steepest street in the world. Well, the official word from Toby Stoff, who's a Dunedin man who's been over to have a look at this Welsh goat track, as we call it, is that there is a glimmer of hope that Baldwin Street could regain its record. So I'm sure that's going to get people excited again. We would very much like to get that sign back on that street. We've got the case of the poisoned kaka, the 2 birds that were poisoned, and how human error might have been responsible. That's a story that's been worked on right now. I'm not 100% sure where that's going, but we'll find out tomorrow.
I know, it's heartbreaking. They've got real personalities,
they're
those
great birds, aren't they? We've got a cracking feature on the zero carbon bill. We talk to people who are trying to live their life, a low carbon lifestyle, something we're all going to have to think about. A really interesting read from our Eleanor McPhee. And we've also got a lovely yarn on a North Otago strawberry grower. Fascinating life story written by Sally Ray. The Matt Singers berries, I think, become the leading producer in the South Island. So it's a really good yarn in the business pages. And the other reason it's been a big afternoon at the ODT is we presented the Valpy Trophy this afternoon. And in tomorrow's paper will be a small story about our Valpy Trophy winners. That's the annual trophy for editorial excellence at the paper. So it means a big deal to us, and we like to spread that far and wide too. So that's another little snippet, all that, and lots and lots and lots of other stuff, which you can find out in tomorrow's paper.
Wonderful, you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weekend's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with today's southern view, a couple of keen surfers head out for waves at Smales Beach. Looking at the situation, a front weakens over the South Island tomorrow with some rain for southern districts and colder southwesterly winds arriving too. But clearing weather late in the day, another front will approach the region on Sunday. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport are set for grey skies, rain and 16 degrees. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim can expect a cloud or 2, showers and a high of 21 degrees. Moving down to Canterbury, you'll have some cloudy skies and showers across this area. Kaikoura you'll reach 22 degrees, Christchurch and Ashburton you're both set for a cloud or 2, but a decent high of 22 as well. To the southern outlook, Balclutha, the Catlins, Lumsden and Gore can all expect decreasing westerlies and showers clearing. The Catlins reaches 14, Balclutha 13, with Lumsden and Gore both set to reach 12. To the central outlook, Queenstown and Wanaka are all in for gusty westerlies and a few showers with a high of 16 degrees. Alexandra is similar with a 17-degree high. Te Anau sees showers clearing and 12 degrees. To the northern towns, Timaru has gusty westerlies with some rain and a high of 19. Oamaru is in for some southwesterlies later and some rain with a high of 18 degrees. And Twizel and Amarama can expect gusty westerlies with rain clearing and a high of 17 degrees for you both. In Dunedin, cloud increasing tonight with mild northerlies and an overnight low of 13. Some light rain possible at first tomorrow, then dry for a while with high cloud and light variable winds. A high of 14 and a low of 8. Fine on Sunday with sunny periods and some high cloud and moderate northerlies developing. A high of 13 and a low of 7. And in the Cargill tonight, rain developing tonight with fresh northwesterlies easing with an overnight low of 11 degrees. Rain easing to showers tomorrow with fresh gusty cold southwesterlies, a high of 12 and a low of 8. And milder northwesterlies freshening on Sunday with cloud increasing during the morning and rain likely in the afternoon, a high of 14 and a low of 9. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday and for the week. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and weekend, and feel free to check out Southern News Week. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.